Story number 1. Title: Disappeared in Midair, the Ghostly Co-Pilot. In the serene suburbs of the United States in 2001, I, Alex Harper, worked as an investigative journalist, always on the lookout for gripping tales. I was 27, driven by curiosity and an insatiable hunger for stories that transcended the mundane. My peers, photographers Katie and Mike, both 25, joined me on this latest endeavor. It started as a simple assignment for our YouTube channel, True Scary Stories. We planned on documenting weird plane events. However, we got more than we bargained for. It all began when Mike showed us an obscure online forum. Users shared eerily similar experiences about being assisted by a ghostly co-pilot during difficult flights. The spectral presence would vanish upon landing, leaving pilots in shock. Intrigued, we decided to delve deeper. Our first lead was a 28-year-old pilot named Jack. He recounted a harrowing tale of being caught in a storm and hearing the voice of his former co-pilot, Sarah, guiding him through it. Sarah had tragically died in a crash a year prior. Jack was skeptical, attributing the experience to stress. But then he saw Sarah's ghostly form next to him, smiling reassuringly. When the plane landed safely, she vanished. Further investigation revealed more pilots with similar tales. Each account had a common thread. The apparition was always a co-pilot who had died under mysterious circumstances. One night, after interviewing a pilot, Katie, Mike, and I found ourselves near an old, dilapidated house linked with devil worship and exorcism deaths. It was rumored that this house, known as the Pilot's Haven, was where these co-pilots were last seen alive. Although apprehensive, our journalistic instincts compelled us to explore it. Inside, we discovered old news clippings and satanic symbols painted on walls. A chilly draft permeated the house, and Katie's camera caught shadowy figures. But it was the basement that held the most terrifying secret, a sealed room with remnants of an exorcism ritual and 10 chairs, each marked with a co-pilot's name. Sarah's was one of them. Suddenly, the room's temperature plummeted, and ghostly apparitions surrounded us, replaying their final moments. We saw them being subjected to a ritual, their souls trapped between worlds. They were bound to serve as guardian angels for pilots, forever. A figure emerged, older than the rest. It was Marjorie, a woman known to practice dark arts. She had conjured this ritual to harness the souls of young co-pilots, ensuring her loved one, a pilot, would always be safe in the skies. But her actions had unintended consequences, tethering tortured souls to planes. Fearing for our lives, we fled. The next day, with the help of a renowned exorcist, we returned to the house. A long, grueling exorcism followed. The souls of the co-pilots, including Sarah, were finally freed. The hauntings ceased. The story we uncovered was unlike any other. Our video, titled Disappeared in Midair? 10 Plane Stories That'll Keep You Up Tonight, gained millions of views, high retention, and a plethora of comments from grateful pilots who no longer felt the presence of the ghostly co-pilots. Today, the Pilot's Haven stands as a chilling reminder of the interplay between the spiritual and the physical, a place where ambition led to unspeakable horrors. Story number 2. Title: Turbulence in Time, the Flight That Broke Reality. In the quiet suburbs of the United States, 2002, I, Lisa Brennan, was a budding journalist, merely 26, eager to prove my worth. Alongside me were my college friends and collaborators, Nina, a skilled videographer, and Tom, our tech whiz. The three of us operated a YouTube channel, True Scary Stories, uncovering the most bizarre and inexplicable events. Tom stumbled upon a forum thread that caught our attention. Multiple passengers shared eerily similar tales of their flights, momentarily taking them through different time periods. Descriptions ranged from prehistoric landscapes to futuristic cities. A particular flight number, Flight 313, was recurrent in these testimonies. Deciding to investigate, we booked tickets for Flight 313. Armed with cameras and sensors, we hoped to capture any abnormalities. The flight began smoothly. Hours in, the plane hit extreme turbulence. The outside view morphed dramatically. Lush green forests transformed into vast, futuristic metropolises, then desolate post-apocalyptic wastelands, and back to our current landscape. The transitions were abrupt, jarring, and utterly terrifying. Upon landing, we interviewed other passengers. A man named Mark claimed to have seen his younger self in one of the cities. Another, Jenna, saw a newspaper headline from 2065. The experiences were diverse, but the horror in their eyes was consistent. Our investigation led us to an abandoned house in the suburbs, notorious for satanic rituals in the past. Rumors said that members tried to harness the power of time. Local lore mentioned Flight 313's pilot, Captain Raymond, having ties to the group. Inside the house, we found a room filled with aviation maps, devil worship symbols, and a diary. It belonged to Captain Raymond. Entries revealed that he and the cult had performed a ritual on board Flight 313 in an attempt to master time, intending to gain immense wealth by knowing the future. But, as with most dealings with dark powers, things went awry. The plane was now cursed, forever slipping through the fabric of time. While in the house, a cold presence overwhelmed us. Ghostly apparitions of cult members, including Raymond, materialized, seemingly stuck in a loop of performing the ritual. We realized they had become prisoners of their ambition, trapped in the very time anomalies they created. Determined to break the curse, we sought the help of an exorcist. The ritual to cleanse Flight 313 in the house was perilous, revealing the souls of the passengers who had died due to the time slips on the plane, unrecorded and forgotten by our reality. Finally, after a terrifying confrontation with the spirits, the curse was broken. Flight 313 was decommissioned, and the house demolished. Our video, titled Disappeared in Midair? 10 Plane Stories That'll Keep You Up Tonight, went viral. Viewers were captivated by our first-hand experience and the shocking revelations. Today, the land where the house stood remains barren, a silent testament to the dangers of meddling with forces beyond our understanding. Story number 3. Title: Forever in Flight, The Curse of Flight 404. Suburbs of the United States. I'm Ethan, a 29-year-old freelance journalist, hungry for groundbreaking stories. My childhood friend, Mia, a passionate paranormal investigator, and Lucy, a talented 27-year-old aviation technician, accompanied me on what became the most haunting story of our lives. We operated a budding YouTube channel, True Scary Stories, and were always searching for eerie tales. Lucy introduced us to the legends surrounding Flight 404. Strangely, this flight was frequently observed in the skies but never seen landing. Radar would pick it up, only for it to disappear mysteriously. Sightings were accompanied by reports of ghostly SOS messages and flickering lights emanating from the aircraft. Deciding to dig deeper, Mia's contact, Derek, an air traffic controller, shared a recorded communication from Flight 404. A distressed voice pleaded, "Help us. We can't land." It sent shivers down our spines. A breakthrough came when we received an anonymous letter directing us to an old house in the suburbs. Rumored for its connections to devil worship and occult practices, locals whispered that Flight 404's eternal journey was linked to this residence. Venturing inside, we found walls adorned with cryptic symbols, aviation tools, and a list of names, presumably passengers of Flight 404. At the center was an altar with a model of the cursed plane. Suddenly, the room went cold. We saw apparitions reenacting a ritual. The leader, a charismatic man named Victor, was forcing the souls aboard Flight 404 into perpetual flight, ensuring they never found rest. Why? To serve as a constant airborne beacon for summoning otherworldly entities. It became evident this house was the nexus of the curse. Victor's spirit confronted us, angered by our intrusion. He confessed that Flight 404 was the culmination of his life's dark work, and he wouldn't allow its disruption. Determined to end the torment, Mia contacted a renowned exorcist, Father O'Brien. A harrowing night awaited us. The spirits of Flight 404's passengers manifested, sharing their torment and longing for salvation. The exorcism was intense, with Father O'Brien battling not only Victor but the dark forces he had summoned. The climax saw Flight 404 appearing in the sky directly above the house, its engines roaring, lights flashing in desperate patterns. After hours that felt like an eternity, Father O'Brien, with our help, managed to break the curse. Flight 404 finally landed, not in the physical world but symbolically, as the spirits found their peace. We documented our findings in a video titled "Disappeared in Midair?" 10 plain stories that'll keep you up tonight. It became an instant hit, with viewers both terrified and empathetic to the lost souls of Flight 404. Today, the house stands as a monument to those souls, a grim reminder of the price of tampering with the unknown. And every time I look up at the sky, I remember those souls that were trapped, forever in flight. Story number 4. Title: Whispers from Cabin 13, the flight row that shouldn't exist. In the peaceful suburbs of the U.S., I'm Alex, a 28-year-old sound engineer with a penchant for the eerie. My close-knit group consisted of Chloe, a rising online journalist, and Jeremy, an expert in aircraft history and design. Together, we ran true scary stories on YouTube, unraveling mysteries that many wouldn't dare approach. Chloe chanced upon multiple accounts from passengers across various airlines about a particular cabin, Cabin 13. They spoke of chilling whispers, heart-wrenching cries, and the laughter of unseen children from this unoccupied row. Intriguingly, many airlines don't even have a row 13, owing to superstitions. Yet, these experiences were consistent. Jeremy's research revealed that decades ago, a prototype plane had a tragic accident, claiming the lives of its passengers, notably several children seated in row 13. This prototype was the foundation for several modern aircraft designs. We decided to board one such flight, armed with audio equipment, hoping to capture these spectral sounds. Midway through our journey, as lights dimmed and passengers slept, the unmistakable giggles of children echoed. Following it, a chilling voice whispered, "Help us." The instruments went haywire, validating what we heard. Upon landing, an old aircraft mechanic named Danny approached us. He had overheard our discussions and had a tale of his own. He directed us to an abandoned hangar in the suburbs, where parts of the ill-fated prototype were stored. Exploring it, we stumbled upon old blueprints, photos of the victims, and, shockingly, a partially intact Cabin 13. As night fell, the remnants of the cabin came alive. Ghostly apparitions of children, playing, laughing, but also reliving their tragic end, manifested before us. Digging further, Chloe found diaries suggesting the prototype's designers had ties to devil worship, intending to make the aircraft a conduit for dark forces. The children's souls were trapped, eternally reliving their final moments. Haunted by their plight, we sought the expertise of a local exorcist, Sister Agatha. She believed that freeing these souls would require confronting the dark entities the designers had summoned. The exorcism was a night of pure terror. The spirits of the children, under the influence of darker forces, alternated between pleading for help and attempting to harm us. But Sister Agatha's unwavering faith gradually broke through. As dawn approached, the malevolent hold on the children weakened. With a final, powerful prayer, the hangar was bathed in a serene light. The laughter of the children, now pure and free of torment, echoed one last time before fading away. Our video, Disappeared in Midair? 10 plain stories that'll keep you up tonight, chronicling the tragic tale of Cabin 13, garnered millions of views. Many expressed their relief that these innocent souls found peace. Today, as I board any flight, I always spare a glance for the rows around me, hoping never to hear the eerie whispers from a row that shouldn't exist. Story number 5. Title: Trapped at 30,000 feet, The Shadows of Flight 219. As a resident of a quiet U.S. suburb, I'm Ben, a 26-year-old neuroscientist studying sleep disorders, particularly sleep paralysis. I teamed up with Lisa, a talented filmmaker, and Jordan, a flight attendant with a trove of spine-tingling tales. We shared a fascination with the paranormal and documented eerie occurrences on our YouTube channel, True Scary Stories. Our newest venture was inspired by recurring accounts from multiple passengers on various flights. They detailed horrifying experiences of waking up mid-flight, paralyzed, unable to scream or move, as dark, shadowy figures roamed the aisles, whispering indecipherable words. Jordan mentioned Flight 219. 3 years prior, several passengers had independently reported witnessing these shadow figures during a bout of sleep paralysis. The incidents, though written off as coincidences or stress-induced hallucinations, were eerily consistent. Digging deeper, we found that Flight 219's aircraft had a tragic history. It was refurbished after a crash in the 80s in our very suburb, which claimed numerous lives due to a devil-worshipping cult's failed ritual on board. We arranged to film on Flight 219. During the flight, I purposely induced sleep paralysis on myself, with Lisa and Jordan monitoring. What I experienced was bone-chilling. I awoke, unable to move, as the plane's atmosphere turned icy. I saw them, shadowy, distorted figures moving, their whispers like a chilling breeze, one of them murmuring, "Join us." Upon landing, we were approached by Grace, an elderly woman who once lived near the crash site. She shared tales of the area being haunted by the crash victims, possibly due to the interrupted ritual binding their souls. Determined to uncover the truth and free the trapped spirits, we visited the crash site, now a dilapidated building. Inside, remnants of the ritual pentagrams, candles, and old plane parts littered the place. Nightfall brought with it an eerie atmosphere. The shadows, more defined now, reenacted the ritual, led by a charismatic figure we deduced was the cult leader. His intent became clear: trap the passengers in an eternal state of limbo to harness their energy. Knowing we were out of our depth, we sought the expertise of a renowned exorcist, Father Grayson. The exorcism was an epic battle of light versus dark. The plane's tormented souls cried out, torn between the cult's pull and their desire for freedom. With dawn's first light and Father Grayson's unwavering faith, a brilliant flash engulfed the building. The shadowy figures dissipated, replaced by ethereal forms of the crash victims, who smiled gratefully before ascending. Our video, Disappeared in Midair? 10 plane stories that'll keep you up tonight, featuring the harrowing tale of Flight 219's shadows, became an overnight sensation. Viewers were gripped by the mix of scientific intrigue and paranormal investigation. Today, as I reminisce, I can't help but feel a shiver down my spine every time I recall those haunting whispers at 30,000 feet, reminding me of the thin line between our world and the unknown. Story number 6. Title: The Black Box Whispers, Messages from Beyond. Nestled within a quiet U.S. suburb, Eli, a 27-year-old aviation engineer, had always been captivated by the unsolved mysteries of the skies. Working alongside me was Mia, a determined investigative journalist, and Nathan, an audio technician with an obsession for deciphering sounds others couldn't. Together, we formed the backbone of True Scary Stories, a YouTube channel that delved into mysteries most dared not touch. Our latest venture? Decoding eerie, inexplicable final messages from the black boxes of doomed flights. Mia unearthed black box recordings from 3 separate incidents over the past decade. Each had eerie whispers, chilling chants, and the unmistakable hum of a ritual in the background, moments before the respective tragedies. These weren't typical flight sounds or distress calls, but something far more sinister. Nathan's enhanced audio revealed a recurring phrase amidst the chaos: "Bound in flight, souls take flight." This led us to an old urban legend about a cult that believed harnessing souls midair gave rituals unparalleled power. Research took us to an abandoned airfield in our suburb, which locals believed was the cult's base. It was rumored that every time they performed their ritual, a plane would crash, and they would harness the souls for their nefarious purposes. One evening, as we were exploring the decrepit hangars, we stumbled upon old photos, plane fragments, and a burnt, yet still discernible altar. Mia's sharp eyes caught a date on one of the photos, aligning with one of the crash dates. The connection was becoming undeniable. However, the true horror unveiled itself that night. As Nathan was setting up audio equipment to record ambient sounds, the equipment began picking up frequencies of anguish and torment. The same whispers from the black boxes echoed around us, but now there were clearer, desperate pleas, "Free us." Realizing the gravity of our discovery and the potential danger we were in, we sought out an expert in exorcism and dark arts, Madame Lorraine. With her knowledge, we set out to confront these spirits and hopefully free them. On the fateful night, as we gathered around the altar, the atmosphere grew dense. The shadows of tormented souls swirled around us, their anguish palpable. Lorraine began her chants, confronting the dark energies that held the souls captive. Hours felt like days, with the forces of good and evil clashing violently. But as dawn's first light broke, a serene calmness enveloped the airfield. The souls, freed from their torment, gave us fleeting grateful glances before ascending into the light. Our exposed title disappeared in midair. 10 plain stories that'll keep you up tonight, detailing the sinister connections between the cult and the plane crashes, went viral. The world was both horrified and captivated by the grim reality behind some of aviation's most tragic events. Looking back, every time I hear of a plane tragedy, I can't help but recall the haunting whispers from the black boxes and the souls we encountered, reminding me of the darkness that sometimes lurks behind unexplained mysteries. Story number 7. Title: Echoes of the Lost, the Airwaves' Ghostly Cry. In a quiet suburb of the U.S., I, Lucas, was a radio enthusiast. With my childhood friend Clara, a budding paranormal investigator, and Jeremy, a tech wizard, we often explored uncharted radio frequencies. It was on one of these exploratory nights that we first heard it, a distorted SOS call, clearly from a pilot, and then, chillingly, a whisper of, "Help us. They're here." Curiosity piqued. We started a series on our YouTube channel, True Scary Stories, about the lost planes and their enigmatic radio echoes. Our neighborhood was abuzz with stories of aircraft that disappeared decades ago, seemingly swallowed by the skies. Legends whispered of the lost airway, an old, clandestine radio frequency supposedly linked to these vanished planes. Determined to uncover the truth, we set up a makeshift studio in Jeremy's basement. One evening, as we fine-tuned our equipment to the fabled frequency, a series of cryptic messages played out. Latitude 39.9, longitude -77.0, they're watching, and eerily, Lucas, Clara, Jeremy. It was personal now. Those coordinates led us to a long-forgotten airfield in our suburb, overgrown and seemingly abandoned. But as we ventured deeper, we discovered remnants of rituals, occult symbols, and old radios that emitted otherworldly sounds. Neighborhood tales spoke of a cult from the 1960s, known as the Skybound, who believed in transcending earthly bounds by merging with lost souls in the skies. They supposedly conjured rituals to trap planes in an eternal limbo, harnessing the souls aboard for dark purposes. As we dug deeper, the vents turned darker. Clara began waking up with mysterious marks on her body. Jeremy's tech equipment often malfunctioned, emitting ghostly cries for help. I started receiving mysterious phone calls, just static on the other end, but I could sense a presence, listening. Seeking answers, we consulted Madame Alera, a known expert in the arcane. She revealed that the cult had opened portals in the skies, trapping aircraft and their souls in a sinister dimension. She believed our interference had alerted the cult's remnants, and they viewed us as threats. With her guidance, we devised a plan to free the trapped souls. Harnessing the power of radio frequencies, with Jeremy's tech, Clara's knowledge of the paranormal, and my intuition, we set out to confront the unseen forces. On a stormy night, at the abandoned airfield, we started transmitting messages of hope, love, and freedom towards the trapped frequencies. The atmosphere grew electric, charged with both malevolent and benevolent energies. As Madame Alara chanted spells of release, ghostly apparitions of lost pilots and passengers appeared, thanking us, before fading into the ether. However, our actions had consequences. The Skybound's remnants, enraged, began haunting our lives. Mysterious shadows, electrical disturbances, and chilling air became common. Our YouTube series, Disappeared in Midair? 10 plain stories that'll keep you up tonight, became an instant sensation, with our followers split between skeptics and believers. But we knew the truth. Years later, as I drive past that old airfield, memories flood back. Of brave souls lost in the skies, of the sinister cult, and of the thin line between our world and the unknown. The ethereal radio whispers might have ceased, but the echoes of that adventure still haunt my every waking moment. Story number 8. Title: Shadows of Crane Street. I was living in a peaceful suburb, in a corner house opposite Crane Street's construction site. My name is Mia, and next door lived my best friend Eric, an engineer, and Sophie, a journalist who had recently moved in. We were in our mid-20s, ambitious, and, until that summer, pretty carefree. Our nights were often interrupted by the sounds of metal clanging. Initially dismissing it as the wind, it became apparent that only the crane's hook swung wildly, even on still nights. To add to the eeriness, it cast shadows on the nearby buildings that didn't resemble a hook but looked eerily like men hanging. Sophie, with her insatiable curiosity, started digging into the history of Crane Street. To our horror, she discovered that in the 1980s, a tragic accident had taken place. Several workers had lost their lives when a platform they were on collapsed. The crane operator, devastated by guilt, had taken his own life using the crane hook. It all clicked into place. Eric, being logical, tried debunking the stories. He even monitored the crane overnight but found no mechanical faults. He couldn't explain the swinging hook or the shadows. The creepypasta tales about Crane Street became a reality for us. One fateful night, as we filmed for our YouTube channel True Scary Stories, the crane began its nocturnal dance again. Armed with cameras, Sophie, Eric, and I decided to approach the crane. As we neared, cold gusts of wind blew, whispering names. The shadows became more pronounced, almost reaching out. A chilling voice echoed, "Why did you let us fall?" Terrified, we consulted a local priest, Father Andrews. He revealed chilling tales of devil worship that took place at that very construction site. Occult symbols, hidden in plain sight, aimed to trap tormented souls, using them as energy sources. Father Andrews believed that the souls of the lost workers and the crane operator were trapped, reliving their tragic end. Determined to free these restless souls, we decided to conduct a cleansing ritual. The night was overcast, thunder rumbling in the distance. Father Andrews began chanting, sprinkling holy water, while Sophie, Eric, and I held onto amulets. The atmosphere grew thick, a whirlwind of emotions. The crane started swinging even more wildly. Suddenly, apparitions of the fallen workers and the crane operator appeared, reenacting their final moments. We stood firm, clutching our amulets, praying. With a final, climactic crash of thunder, everything went still. The crane, the night, even the wind seemed to hold its breath. And then, like a dissipating fog, the spirits vanished, leaving behind an eerily calm Crane Street. Our YouTube video, Swinging Shadows of Crane Street, became an overnight sensation. But more than fame, we were relieved. The nights were silent again, the crane still, the shadows gone. Now, as I walk past Crane Street on my evening strolls, memories flood back. Memories of restless spirits, tragic accidents, and of the night when we faced the unknown. The crane stands there, silent, but the tales of its shadows will forever swing in my heart. Story number 9. Title: Echoes of Air Tragedies. In the summer of 2009, I was an eager young researcher named Alex. Fascinated by aviation mysteries, my colleague Jamie, a history buff, and I embarked on a project for our YouTube channel, Wings of Mystery. Clara, a talented videographer, and her boyfriend Liam, a budding pilot, joined our endeavor. One evening, while delving deep into aviation forums, we stumbled upon whispered tales of a cursed flight route over a suburb in the U.S. Pilots named it Flight of the Damned. Legend said that planes crossing this route experienced ghostly reenactments of past aviation disasters. Skeptical but curious, we decided to investigate. Liam had access to a small aircraft. Setting up cameras inside, we embarked on our journey across the infamous route. As we flew over the quiet suburb below, the skies darkened ominously. Suddenly, our instruments malfunctioned. The cozy cabin echoed with distant screams and the rush of wind. We looked out of the windows, and the view sent chills down our spines. Visions of past plane crashes played out before our eyes, like phantom recordings. An old biplane spiraling out of control, a jumbo jet with engines aflame, a flight full of passengers frozen in terror. Each scene felt palpable, the emotions raw and haunting. Jamie, with a tremor in her voice, narrated tales associated with each vision. She spoke of Flight 182 from the 70s that vanished in midair, the biplane of a famous aviator that crashed in the 30s, and the tragedy of Flight 407 in the late 90s. The stories matched the ghostly reenactments around us. As Clara tried capturing these eerie scenes, our plane suddenly began to shake violently. Liam struggled with the controls, trying to keep us steady. The visions grew more vivid, and the chilling sound of a ghostly stewardess announced, "Prepare for landing." Desperate, Jamie began chanting a protection spell she'd learned from her grandmother, while Clara and I clasped hands, reciting prayers. Liam, using all his strength, managed to divert the plane away from the cursed route. The moment we exited the flight path, everything returned to normal. The visions disappeared, the sounds ceased, and our instruments stabilized. We landed safely, but the weight of what we'd witnessed was heavy on our hearts. Our video, Flight of the Damned, Echoes of Air Tragedies, garnered millions of views. But the creepypasta around it grew even more sinister. Rumors spread of devil-worshipping rituals conducted in the suburbs below, aimed at trapping the souls of those lost in air tragedies. Though we achieved fame, the horror of that flight haunted our dreams. We received letters from viewers, some sharing their own experiences on that cursed route and others warning us of the spirits we might have angered. Now, as I walk around the suburbs, I can't help but glance upwards, half expecting to see phantom planes reenacting their final moments. That flight changed our lives forever, reminding us that some mysteries are best left unexplored. Story number 10. Title: Echoes from the Sky. Back in 2010, I was a fresh-faced journalism graduate named Ethan, eager to make my mark. A childhood friend, Riley, had recently landed a job as an air traffic controller in our sleepy hometown suburb. We'd spend evenings at the local diner, where he'd share thrilling tales from his tower. But one night, the story Riley shared changed everything. He spoke, voice trembling, about an incident from the previous week. He had been monitoring the skies when he intercepted a distress call. The voice on the other end was panicky, describing engine failure and rapidly losing altitude. Riley jumped into action, trying to guide the plane to safety. But what shook him was the call sign of the plane. It was Flight 113, a flight that had disappeared over a decade ago. Eager to uncover the truth behind these mysterious calls, I teamed up with Riley, Mia, a tech-savvy hacker we knew from college, and Lucas, a paranormal investigator. We set up a makeshift studio in Riley's basement, aiming to capture these eerie transmissions for our YouTube documentary, Whispers in the Headset. Night after night, we sat, headphones on, listening intently. Finally, it happened. A distressed voice crackled through, "Mayday. Mayday. This is Flight 207. Engines on fire. Losing altitude." Mia's quick research revealed that Flight 207 had crashed in the 90s, with no survivors. As the nights progressed, more calls came in, each from flights long disappeared or believed to have tragically crashed. With Lucas's knowledge, we began piecing together a chilling pattern. These flights had all vanished or met their end near a specific patch of forest in the suburb. Armed with cameras and recording equipment, our team decided to explore this forest. As we trekked deeper, we found a clearing with a circle of old, charred plain seats, remnants of devil worship and rituals. Lucas surmised that these rituals trapped the souls of the doomed flights, causing them to forever send out distress calls. The creepypasta community went wild with our findings. Stories of exorcism deaths related to the area, unexplained disappearances, and chilling accounts of ghostly apparitions became rampant. Our video skyrocketed in views, but it attracted unwanted attention. One evening, as I was driving back home, a voice, eerily similar to the distress calls, whispered through my car's radio, "You shouldn't have come." My car's electronics went haywire, and I narrowly escaped a crash. Our team decided to bring in a renowned exorcist to cleanse the area. The night of the ritual was filled with unexplained phenomena, shadows moving in the periphery, cold gusts of wind, and disembodied voices. By sunrise, it was over. While our YouTube channel gained massive traction, the personal toll was hefty. The events left an indelible mark on our psyche. Riley transferred to a different control tower, Mia focused on cybersecurity, Lucas delved deeper into the paranormal, and I continued my journey into journalism, forever wary of the stories I chased.